Is it April 24th? What's the date? Hi, it's April 24th. It's Tuesday. And we are here. We're going to be talking about the Earth as a simulation today. And we're very excited. And we're really excited to have some really fresh energy in the room today. Great music selection, Sam. Bam is back in the studio. And we're here. We've got some familiar faces and a new one. If everyone wants to just go around the room and introduce yourself to the audience at home.
I'm Sam. I'm a Capricorn.
I'm glad, Matt. Let's talk.
In this simulation of reality, my user has named this avatar Jeffrey.
I'm Georgia. I'm a Gemini.
Oh, wow. I'm Mary. I'm actually a Gemini Capricorn rising.
Wait, so am I.
No way.
Yes.
So is Gabby.
What?
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
What?
Simulation confirmed.
So, yeah, I feel like the ionizer...
Matrix.
Wait, that's...
Speaking of the Matrix, let's talk Matrix. I feel like we already just had a connected moment right there.
We did.
I mean, many of you have your phones out like you didn't research this before the episode. We are live, just to remind everyone. But let's get into it. I'm very interested. Everyone seems to be very fervent about this topic. So let's get right off to it. I mean, you just mentioned a few things that sound personal about your relation to the simulation that life is.
No, that was all in jest. Life is not a simulation.
Wow.
This is the only reality that we exist in.
Well, I don't know which reality I'm in right now. Sam, you're enjoying some tension tamer right now. How is that?
It's really calming.
That's good. We like to let everyone know to get like a nice beverage before we start the show because staying hydrated is important. So how do you feel about life as a simulation?
Oh, I'm very pro-simulation.
Tell us a little more about your pro-simulation stances. Because to be honest, I don't feel moved one way or another completely on this whole theory.
Well, facts aside, and the facts do support it, but facts aside, I don't want to have to take responsibility for everything happening in the world. So it's just, it being like a computer simulation just makes more sense. Like, why do we have appendixes? Computer simulation fucked up.
Soft machine. And now, Jeffrey, you rescinded your initial introduction onto the show. Very misleading, which is funny because people usually say that conspiracy theorists are the misleading ones who can't get their facts straight, but that's beside the point. I want to hear a little bit about why you don't agree that life is a simulation.
I don't see any evidence to compel me to believe as such, and I believe the burden of proof is on those making the claim that it is a simulation.
Interesting. Elon
That's a good
Musk,
point.
one of those people. Now, how do you feel about the simulation? Pro or not into it?
I feel like it's a mental masturbation. I don't know. Like you said, I can't... Come on. You didn't even let me finish. There's so much more to be said. Anyway, basically, I don't know. And like you said, Jeffrey, the
All right,
burden
you're
of
on the
proof
fence.
is on people, and I'm interested in getting swayed
But
with
he's
our
on this
conversation
side of the
tonight.
fence.
That's
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. The burden of proof is on so far. Sam, Gabe, I know you feel pretty pro-simulation.
Yeah.
Pro-sims. And then, Georgia.
I'm sort of in the same situation you are. I think I'm too into like space and like the theories of evolution and think they're like super cool, and I don't want it to be something else.
All
Why
right.
can't it be both? Why are those?
I don't know. I mean, I'm
incompatible
interested in
Why
the
would it be
possibility of that. I mean, if there's an argument to that, I will hear it. But I don't know. I'm not sold on it.
Fair enough. No, does everyone here know who Elon Musk is?
Oh, visionary.
Please explain it to the viewers
Well,
at home that might not be familiar with Elon Musk.
Me? I'm the one. Well, would you maybe, since it was your idea, actually do the explanation for us, for our viewers back home?
Elon Musk is some dude that's out there doing whatever it is that he does. He shoots like cars into space.
He did shoot a car.
He shot a car into
That's
space.
His
real.
own car. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tesla.
And for what? To just, trash
That'd be
space?
weird if he shot somebody else's
He's a
car
time
into
traveling
space.
Martian
Like
trying
he's-
to-
Yeah. He stole like my stepdad's car and shot it into space.
Well, I don't know
Just
about
a
all.
Honda Accord
Yeah.
in the stratosphere.
That's your stepdad's car.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that really detracted me from the point of saying that Elon Musk, usually on this show we talk about people no one knows and theories that I believe in, and most people don't agree with this theory. What's interesting about this?
Sorry, I didn't mean
Wow.
to fog
Wow.
you there. Please continue.
Well,
can't
I mean,
listen,
just,
sure.
people say this is real, okay?
Gotcha.
Okay, I'm trying to make a decision fair and
Billionaires
balanced.
agree.
Billionaires agree.
All of them?
Yeah.
Wow.
Name
That
one
seems-
doesn't. Name one that doesn't. Like,
I've met at
Warren
least
Buffett?
6 billionaires, and they all agree.
Warren Buffett?
how do you know?
How do you not know?
I can find out. I'm like,
Sam, on it.
Get him on the
Thanks.
phone.
Quite honestly, I'd like to hear
Call a
some
billionaire.
facts at this point in the show because I haven't really heard anything but a little wishy-washiness over here, some science, and you guys are literally elevated on
I
your
don't
high
think we're in a
horses over
simulation.
here. And then Sam is doing a little research for us. And what was that?
I don't think we're in
And
a
who are you?
I'm Neo from the Matrix. and I don't
On
think
my
we're
MacBook Pro.
and I don't think we're in a simulation. However, I'm reading about it right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some.
Anything you'd like to share that you've been reading, Neo?
Nothing that I could no.
Oh wow, very.
I just don't think, like Jeffrey said, I think the burden of proof is on those who think we are in one.
Can you
Looking at
explain
you.
why that would be the case?
What?
Why the burden of proof should lay on people who agree that it's simulation?
All right, you know what? I'll redact that statement. And here's why I don't think we're in one. Is because I think it's too. You know what? I don't know.
All right, and Sam, I
It's too-
believe.
it's too complex of a. The universe is too complex
Well-
for any computer model to run it.
Sam, you raised your hand.
I'm gonna sound really pedantic, but we aren't in a simulation. We are a simulation.
What's the difference?
Prepositional phrase and grammar, like our existence
Yeah.
is one, as opposed to like we're able to leave the simulation.
Right.
Well,
Like,
this is an important
Agreed.
distinction that we haven't really got to. If the universe is some kind of simulation or reality is some kind of simulation, what kind of simulation? There are a lot of different kinds. It could be like our existence is a simulation, or you are like a brain in a bat, and like chemicals and electric wires are making you imagine your entire reality. Is
Messy.
like it's just
Complicated.
your single perception of the reality simulation. So what kind of simulations do you all like? Which simulation theories do you think is true?
Well, I like The Sims
You like The Sims?
I
The
think
Sims.
yes.
and all the
Yes.
expansion packs.
Okay.
That's my first.
Shout out to my sisters.
I just got that The Sims is short for simulation.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one.
Wait,
that is-
really?
I just,
Seriously?
The Sims are the first simulation I've ever come into contact
Yeah,
with. And
I
I
just
did
got
it at
the
the age of
Zoo
about
Tycoon.
10 or
Zoo Tycoon.
9 or something.
I
So I
like
was
my
young.
roller
God.
coaster.
And I loved it.
I mean,
Mm.
I didn't,
Simulations are cool.
I didn't realize apps were short for applications
Yeah.
until like 2 years ago, so I'm just slow with those
Mhm.
abbreviations.
That's okay.
Yeah, I
That's
didn't get
a lot
it.
of people.
Well, you
Well-
know, regardless of these discoveries we're all making on grammar, which seems to be what everybody's talking about the past 10 minutes, I would like to hear some proof about I wouldn't mind. I feel like I enjoyed playing Sims. Sometimes I would fall into a hole for, I would say, about 20 hours of playing straight. I don't know if anyone else had that sensation and popping out of it. You know, I feel like I could get on board with The Sims being some explanation for existence. Go.
What? The Sims is The Sims is proof that life is a simulation?
No, I just played a lot of The Sims.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if we're talking about how life is a simulation, that if you could explain it to me in terms of The Sims, I feel like I could get a better grasp on this subject.
Okay. So in terms of The Sims, like what reality?
Matrix. What was the company name? Matrix. What was the Matrix?
The Matrix, the movie.
In the
Matrix.
No, I think
Series?
who made that? Who was the video game company that made The Sims?
EA.
EA Games.
Mm. Yeah, they also do
But
all
I
the
feel-
sports games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big sports
I don't know.
guys.
Simulations of sports.
But more about The Sims. I've definitely heard this theory explained with The Sims.
So if that was the type of simulation reality we're talking about, it would be like we are all. Do we all have consciousness, or do just you have consciousness?
It's like a puppet kind of thing.
I think the idea is that there's another entity that's controlling the actions of everything in that world.
Right.
So it would be like The Sims, but we are The Sims.
Mm.
But they wouldn't be able to control all actions. They'd just be able to kind of do a program. It's the same with coding and everything. You'll get bugs that you just don't
in
know
The Sims
why.
you control like a maximum of 6 characters. So one
Yeah,
of us
fair.
is an NPC. Probably me.
Do you think that it was set in motion a long time ago and it's just running? Or do you think the hand comes in every once in a while and manipulates something?
Well, it's such a similar conversation of like deism and religious conversation.
Right.
Like it's the same
It's the same thing.
thing, but with like
Instead of God,
code.
it's a big nerd
I
in
think
the
Yeah.
sky.
Oh, that sounds
What's
like
the
a nightmare.
we're probably just forgotten about.
Maybe?
Forgotten about?
Yeah, and now we're just running through, and bugs aren't getting fixed.
I
Like
mean, I
there's
wonder,
a dusty modem in a room somewhere.
yeah, what kind of advanced world would they be able to forget about the kind of computer that could run this simulation?
I mean, I haven't logged into my Sims like in a
But
year
they're not
at times.
Well, something
Your
like
Sims
Animal
game isn't
Crossing
going when you're
is.
not there.
Right. There
Animal
are.
Crossing's
Animal
always
Crossing
running.
is. That's
That's
what if
a
it
little
is?
unsettling to me.
What if we're an
The
abandoned game of Animal Crossing?
What's Animal Crossing?
I wouldn't be
Animal Crossing?
against it.
It's the
yeah.
free game they give you if you had a GameCube. You get it.
Oh, it
Yeah,
became
They
such a
give it to you.
thing. It
What?
became such a thing.
it was like if you bought
a
the
PC
GameCube.
gamer.
You're like a
you
little
get
Animal
friend who
Crossing.
lives in a village, and
Or
all your
Mario
friends are
Party.
animals,
Or one of Mario games.
and you just kind of live in that village and interact with different people, and people move in and leave.
It's kind of.
What if we're actually avatars then, right? We enjoy playing games. What if we're actually skin for like enjoying some, you know?
And then the fucked up shit in the world is the fucked up kids seeing like, what if I do this?
Right.
Like,
All
that's
the
a lot more
genocide is
comforting
just little
than
kids.
Then this is
Right.
reality.
What if you respawn and you have to be a baby again and go through and like go back to like grade school and
Never
high
again.
school?
Wait, are you
But you
saying that?
wouldn't
Never.
remember.
Like if
probably.
when you died, you go bloop bloop bloop.
Oh.
Like I
Like
feel
in
like
Mario?
or Buddhism.
too often compared
Yeah, Mario and Buddhism.
cultural
You know,
touch points.
tomato, tomato.
Well, honestly, if the Earth world, if life is simulation, if life is a simulation, I just want to say, I hope I get respawned.
As a baby.
Well, not necessarily, but it would be cool. Like, just the idea I could come back in any character. Like, no death is, like, so scary because you just respawn. I
Well,
mean,
I
video
will
games
say-
make war look fun.
I will say that in most video games you respawn as yourself.
As
True.
your current self. Though.
But, you know, we can't even condense the variables of it, right? Because, I mean, one, we'll never understand existence truly, which is why this theory is perfect.
It's comforting.
Yeah.
Right, but how is it like fundamentally, like theoretically any different than just believing anything? Like, what if like the Bible is a historical document and everything that happened in the Bible is true and creationism is real and there's no global warming?
I don't see it as that much different than believing in like God.
Right.
I don't. Yeah, I see.
It's
it
another
as
way of
something.
people attempting to understand the pathetic, terrible world.
Right. So I guess if it like brings you comfort, like go for it. But
Thank
like
you.
it's not the burden of proof is on you to convince me, like I would say to like anybody like with the belief of God.
I would be comfortable knowing that the many hours I spent playing The Sims wasn't wasted.
Also,
Me too.
also like
Honestly, like,
there's the idea
Probably
of
was,
like a simulation or God or like just solipsism of any kind.
What's
is
solipsism for the people watching at home? Because I think this is an educational show. I just don't want anyone getting lost or left behind in the conversation.
Basically, like
Solipsism.
very
Okay.
generally, the idea of solipsism is that like the only reality is like the reality of like your own mind, and nobody else like exists. Basically, that's
Oh, yeah.
that's originally
I've
how
been there.
it started. It means a lot of different things, and it's been used to mean a lot of different things. But that was like the initial like theory, if I'm not mistaken.
just
of-
seems so literally self-centered. But
yeah,
like,
exactly. I mean, that's what I'm saying about
What it means.
that's what I'm saying about all of this stuff is that a lot of philosophers on this subject have said that the burden of proof is on arguments like this because they are superfluous and damaging to society because they instill a lack of consequences for your actions and also like lack of empathy for other people.
I don't think that's true.
I mean, if all of you are just a simulation, and I'm the only one that actually exists,
No, that's not what anybody's saying.
I'm nice to the
what
simulations
you're
because
saying.
they're nice to me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think is anybody in this room
They help-
arguing that everybody's a simulation except for them. No.
but just arbitrarily, just because you
But
don't
it's-
like it.
that's a
much,
fun
but
one.
it's the same
Simulation-
logical like consistency.
I've
It's like-
definitely-
What?
Logical consistency?
I mean, it's basically the same line of reasoning as your argument.
How
You
so?
just like it better, and also it's like more likely because it would take less computational power to produce like one consciousness.
Well, I mean, now you're making that argument.
Yeah, but simulation
Nobody else
aside,
Mhm. But
even if you're the only one that exists, your feelings of how you interact with the simulations are going to be real, and that's going to influence, and those are your actions, and those are the consequences at hand.
only if you actually think of your simulation as a reality. Once you start thinking of it as a simulation, then
Was I not in reality playing Sims? Like, this is where the lines get blurred because I had, certain experiences. I was a little sheltered as a kid, so when my Sims kissed, maybe that was something that I needed to feel that I wasn't getting in this modern world. So what is real? What is fake? Is this real? Is Facebook real? Okay, so I'm saying what I like about this Sims thing is I play a lot of Sims, like I mentioned, and so when you bring up that, I have a lot of existential crises, say I. If you have an existential crisis once a week.
I
Okay, some people weren't into
Ish.
the fun of it. But what I'm trying to say is when we bring up this Sims thing, I feel like I understand the workings of God because I have created a Sims. And I feel like we feel alienated from God, so does anyone even feel connected to the Sims? Does
No.
I did,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
I spent a lot of time.
and I made them in my
What's so
own
funny,
image.
guys?
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry.
I'm sorry I didn't chime in with everybody.
Wow,
before.
sad.
What the fuck?
You're the person.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying to get a grip on reality.
Do you
Are we
feel
all?
it's blurred?
Yeah, I'm beginning to question a lot of what I've known to be true my whole life. And, it's pretty jarring. I think I need some time alone in a room by myself.
Playing Sims.
Well, maybe
don't
you
all.
already are in a room alone by yourself, and you're hooked up to this simulation called Matt Norris Life.
Wait, what?
Ooh. That
It's
sounds
like this is a
Same.
video game, and he's got a helmet
Wait,
on,
what?
and it's like,
I thought you
It
were
is.
going for the Matrix, but you were going somewhere completely else.
I mean, that could also be the Matrix.
I have something to say about the Matrix.
Please say something about the Matrix.
So the Matrix is based off of Plato's allegory of the cave.
For sure.
And I think that might be an interesting way of thinking about the simulation, like reality as a simulation concept. Rather than, in a sort of like existentialist way. So rather than it literally being that we are all sort of avatars living in this like computer simulation or certain kind of simulation, what have you, Sims-like scenario. Maybe the simulation and us sort of recognizing the simulation is like recognizing our own mortality, recognizing empathy and sympathy for others, recognizing these things that are sort of tenets of being a person in the world. And Plato's allegory of the cave is that entire concept of like, if you were only given this one image and you understood it to be reality, that is the assumption you would make, is that the shadows on the wall would be your reality. And then if someone took you out into the real world, I mean, potentially you'd not be able to believe it or understand it, but over time you might come to understand it. So maybe our lot in life is to understand these sorts of existential questions and continue to ask them so that we may grow and become better people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with it.
try that on for size.
So are we in a simulation?
In the sense of it being like a computer game, no, I don't think so.
I think it gets too easily. I
But
think
what's the other sense? Like,
I think the other sense is like ignorance in different ways.
There's a component of reality that we are not aware of that is like separate from us.
Or that we are learning over the course of our lives. That are different components of the reality that we are living in.
but we are in a reality that
Yes.
is not
Yes.
disappointing.
That's
This
the
reality
essential.
sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can live in a computer simulation. I don't want to live in this reality. So, computer simulation, coping mechanism.
What would your expansion pack coping mechanism of choice be?
It would have universal health care. It would have
I thought we were talking like
Yeah, I thought you were gonna go
Sims mods.
vampires
No,
immediately.
vampires.
I mean,
no.
Like the
I'm pretty
pets one.
basic. I'm pretty basic. People wouldn't fight. They could talk about negative feelings and emotions, but they would have the proper tools to do so, and we would all learn from modeling off of each other.
it sounds like the matriarchy, for
It would be.
being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like, computer simulation, like, patriarchy's fucked up. That's some computer simulation shit, because it's just arbitrary rules that, like...
Interesting.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's
that
the
makes
simulation
sense.
we're living
But
in.
I like what you
The
mentioned
patriarchy.
earlier,
I mean,
Georgia, about
That is the simulation.
recognizing the
It's the
simulation.
Yeah.
Recognizing it. Do you feel like after this conversation right now, you're recognizing your programming a little bit?
We should constantly.
Glad Matt.
We should constantly be trying to recognize programming.
Sorry.
Yeah, of course. That's the idea. Sims help me do that, and still does.
Anything else in your life ever help you? Some people say shrooms. I don't know if you want to admit that on live Facebook.
Yeah, I've done shrooms over 25 times.
Well, wow.
He's all
You
in.
said that number, like,
Just ready to go.
Would you say many people claim existential experiences in those moments? Well, what would you account for? What's your actual close to home version of what existence is? What's your, in your brain?
I know for a while I was just trying to face that fear, just really caught in a big heaping pile of existential dread. And then as I slowly realized that there are so many people who live their whole lives without having existential dread because they're too caught up in dealing with their day-to-day bullshit that they have to deal with, I tried to stop and I just played more Sims. Focused on just applying that little bar, the tired energy meter, the hunger meter, and just whenever I would feel those dip low on my own little scale, I just try to pop them back up.
Wow.
That's how I've maintained sanity.
What's the longest amount of time you've ever spent in one sitting playing The Sims or its expansion packs?
Like a day, a whole day.
Day,
hot date
12
and
hours?
vacation expansion pack specifically.
They are good ones. What 12 hours?
It was a whole day. I
24?
just sat and
Oh.
soiled myself for a long period
Okay.
of time.
All right. Wow.
Stewed.
I don't know what it is. Joey has cursed that seat because I didn't expect that to come out of your mouth tonight.
What if
Please.
how like the Sims teach you, what if we're just teaching other people? Because that's what life is about teaching other people. So it makes sense that we'd be a simulation for other people to learn about. Even if it's not a technical simulation, by behaviorism's still a thing. Not all of it's right, but some of it, and modeling and shit.
Well, yeah, that's one of the theories, right? That it's people from the future, playing out these different possibilities of what happened in the past.
Yeah.
It could also be multiverse jumpers.
That's what I love.
Multiverse, yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Multiverse is
Yeah.
so cool.
Hell yeah.
Quantum physics.
Space.
Well, and there's another thing that I really enjoy about the universe of the simulation theory is that it's super compatible with those other things, like the parallel universes. It's what's more what's a better explanation than that there's a world where someone can infinitely create more and more and more of them with the same framework or completely different frameworks. So it's just I like this theory specifically because it makes so many other cool thought experiments seem more possible, and even more probable.
I'm more comforted by the multiverse theory than I am by the simulation theory.
Why?
Because I feel like I can consider the fact that any other possibility has happened. So, if bad things are happening, there's feasibly a reality where that hasn't happened. But there's also a reality where I'm already dead.
But you're
Totally.
stuck in the one with capitalism, so it doesn't make you angry.
Yeah, it's
My-
kind of
I
like
mean,
a short
yeah.
straw.
I'm pro
Why-
multiverse.
why
I'm
can't
pro
you have-
multiverse, which is why I need simulation being real. We're in a simulation as a coping mechanism. I just need this. This is why I need you to believe in this, Matt.
I believe in this.
But
Yeah.
you're in a
Thank you.
simulation with capitalism.
That's still. I don't
It's
think
fucked
that's
up,
quite-
and it doesn't matter because
That
we're in a
doesn't
But if
simulation.
someone else is pressing the buttons, it takes the capitalism off your chest and puts it into just the program.
But don't you think it's socially responsible for people to have burdens on their chest and to have responsibilities that they consider their own agency as opposed to somebody pushing buttons? Because we should be trying to dismantle
But,
capitalism.
don't you say God is great?
Huh?
Aren't you Mr. Jesus over here? Isn't that the same thing as Jesus?
Jesus is my homeboy.
It can also.
Wow,
I
Jeffrey,
don't know,
here it
man.
is. This is the point in the episode where now I drank. I wanted tension tamer. I wanted, the tea tree oil, and now it's.
And your tension's
I
not tame
feel
right
like
now.
actually, if you can hand
It's
me the
untamed.
lavender that's right behind you, Sam.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, I'm just
Jesus
wondering
just-
how
Jesus really
I'd
riles
love
up your
for you.
tensions.
I would love for you to explain how the simulation theory is different than Jesus. Go.
How the simulation theory
Yeah.
is different
Yeah.
than Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't think it's different. That's kind of my whole bag. Is that
Well,
it's-
Jesus himself
I think she's referring to
or religion, because Jesus himself, he was just some dude in the right place at the right time that people
or
that was able to preserve documents that people later believed.
Jesus
or
Christ superstar.
He was magic. Maybe Jesus was magic. And also all of these this idea of a simulation doesn't seem any different than just saying, well, everything's just magic. Like, prove me wrong. All of existence is just controlled by, like, one magical wizard up on a cloud. It explains a lot of things just the way that the simulation thing does. And prove me wrong.
What
Well,
are you?
I mean, here's the thing. Does it? Because in religion, if you're talking about, if you're comparing, if God is the wizard in the cloud, I'm assuming, right? That's what you're saying. Okay. Well, like, if God is a wizard in a cloud, but we live in a reality governed by the laws of physics, governed by like all the other things that we take to define the way that the universe works, then I find that to be way less possible than the universe being a simulation that isn't strictly governed by those rules. You know what I mean? Like, I think God is way less probable simply because we assert that he exists in a world that is a reality governed by the laws of that reality.
I have
So
someone
I would
writing
say
in.
the simulation is different.
My friend has written in a
We've
comment.
got it right in.
Awesome. What do we got?
This is from my dear sweet gentle friend Brooke Williams. She says, okay, so if reality is a simulation, what difference does it make? Actions still have consequences, you know?
Exactly.
We still have to make decisions. Also, simulation is the same as Jesus. It's just for a different group of people. I agree with her, frankly.
I do agree that it serves the same, like, mental purpose as, like, thinking about God or, like, being a religious person.
And
but I
even-
disagree with Jeffrey that it's the same, like, that it's the same thing. Because it's not. Because, like I said, like, I mean, do you think that, like, the simulation is just as outlandish and impossible as, like, what we claim happened, like, what religious people claim happened via, like, the Bible, like, the miracles, the shit, like, it's just, like, if we live in a world where we science tells us that all these things are possible and all these things are impossible, and, like, it's, like, there's all these rules and shit, it's, like, yeah, I don't think that, like, God and Jesus and all the shit they did is, like, as realistic as saying that we're in a simulation where, like, all
So,
those things would theoretically, I would believe that God could exist in the simulation, but not in reality.
And as to why, coping mechanism.
It also motivates me to be better as a person, because, like, viewers at home might not know me, but I'm really mouthy. And nothing bad has happened yet. And I just am like, this is what I'm programmed to do. I'm programmed to be like, nuh-uh, that's not appropriate behavior. Go get a better attitude. Like, that's just how I'm programmed. People have literally told me that's just how Sam's programmed.
Capricorn.
I'm actually a Scorpio.
What?
But is
Fucking
your
liar.
rising
She's a liar.
Capricorn?
No, it's a Sagittarius.
Oh, ooh.
Don't
Cancer
think anything she
moon.
says.
she's
Cancer
that's
moon.
she's just saying things.
I am, because you're a Cancer moon and a Sag rising too, but you're
This is
an
this
Aries
is another
sun.
simulation
You're
thing
Aries?
right here.
I just thought it was funny
Possibly.
to say I'm a
Okay,
Capricorn.
I would like to hear Jeffrey's response.
So what would you? So you think that the simulation is perfectly like compatible with science and our understanding of like the observable universe?
Yeah, I'd say that the simulation, like, if I make a fucking video game, I can make it run by whatever rules I want it to. Like, I could make, like, you know, like, we take gravity for granted, but it's a really specific, like, scientific calculation that tells us how things move and how things lay, and, like, when I drop something, when's it gonna hit the ground? It's like, if I make a video game, I can make it work however I want. That's just how it works. Like,
All right. So how large do you think this simulation is? Because theoretically, from our understanding of observable science, you can't make a simulation of the universe. There's like no theoretical computational power capable of doing that. So you'd have to imagine a computational machine beyond what science can imagine to be able to do that. Unless you believed that
Well, I mean-
it was a limited simulation, like the simulation is only like what I can observe.
Are the
myself.
people in Plato's allegory of the cave capable of imagining the real world?
So
No.
yeah, but by that definition,
So-
like, are you like?
What is the
What
real
if
world?
magic is the real world? What if the
What if it
wizard in
is,
the
dude?
cloud is the so exactly? That's why I'm
Like-
saying I'm the one saying these are the same thing argumentatively.
I mean, sure, but then you'd have to say that then science isn't like a thing in this, you know, in the reality universe. Like, in
I don't
order
know if
for
it is.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm the one that believes
yeah,
that science
Vern.
is a thing, and that's why I consider the burden of proof on.
Well, I mean, how is the? I missed it. Like, how is the universe as a simulation anti-science? Like, I think it's.
I think you could, like, I fully accept science, but I can't really say I believe in it because I don't know enough to actually believe. I'm just like, cool, that's how it is.
I know more about The Sims than I do about science.
Like, I know 2 things about cell respiration. That's like science there. Like, that and just saying, just explaining, like, I'm bad at chemistry because my high school had bad chemistry teachers, but no, I'm just bad at chemistry.
Because of your programming.
Right.
But you had to make the choices you had to make to get here. Because if you think about it, you give your characters stats at the beginning of any kind of game, especially The Sims. You know, you pick everything from the look to, like, this is the formal wear, this is bathing suit. And, you know, even though each sim, you know, you're controlling, there's a lot of activity the Sims just start doing when you're not interacting with them. And their dreams, you don't choose their dreams. And I think actually we don't acknowledge dreaming as the real, that could be our real existence.
Oh, I had a dream the other night that I woke up shooken. I woke up just shaking, like shooken.
Shook it.
I don't remember how exactly, but this is something I would totally do in this situation. I ended up with my friend's newborn child. Like, I should not have been watching this child. And somehow I'm coming, and she's like in a high rise, so I'm coming up from the elevator holding this baby, and I see people with a machine gun. So I try and hide, like just at her door, and everyone else is just going about their life all good. So I go to hide, but they find me. So I negotiate and say, how about you just kill the baby and not me, so I have to live with the guilt of selling out this baby for the rest of my life. Like, that makes me worse than you.
What?
And then they agreed. And I had this whole dream about me living with the guilt of negotiating this baby. And I woke up shooken because I was convinced that, like, I was like, no, that's something that would happen. It felt real.
I have another write-in from Brooke.
And that's a total Sims thing.
We have another write-in from Brooke.
Okay.
Yeah.
She says,
Yeah.
the simulation argument has been around for ages. Originally posited by Rene Descartes that we were brains in vats, which is all we could fathom with the science at the time. We couldn't comprehend the idea of a computer, but now we have a different frame of reference for technology, so we think of computers. So we have to consider that if there is a simulation, that it is a completely unimaginable thing.
Right.
Can you air horn me?
Oh yeah, sorry.
And that's all I gotta hear, because then
Thanks, Brooke.
Love you,
There you
You're
Brooke.
a real one.
and since we can't conceive it possibly, if it is one, we just have to try to have our best lives here and fight against the bad in this simulation, in this reality. We can
This
talk
is
for
that
hours about all the
existentialist
different
shit.
possibilities.
Yeah, it's why it's important.
And talk about everything. Oh, maybe. But no, we must refocus everyone as a unit, all of us together.
Go team!
Yes.
Yeah,
Let's all
It's
stop
tough.
paying rent.
exactly. That's the real
That's just the
simulation
musical
trying
rent.
to get us to.
That's just the
No,
musical Rent.
all 300 million
That's
Americans.
what the plot of the musical Rent is.
No, there's other stuff too. It's just,
There is, but yes.
it's the opening number. That's
It's-
about it.
yeah.
They don't really
Yeah.
talk about not paying rent too
Yeah.
much.
It's a weird title. For
There
it.
is one line in the song that's like, we're not gonna pay rent. What rent? We're not gonna pay rent.
I think that's the opening number. And they're like throwing things that are on fire.
Yeah. And it
not-
ends by saying everything is rent.
It's Rent.
I just was suggesting, I didn't want to talk about that musical. Like, I'll talk about others, but that's just a shitty musical.
It is.
I mean, I think
that's
it's been
true.
I have-
manipulated
All
by
right, we're
time.
veering into
I
everybody talking over each other
I
like we were
think
trying
the original,
to avoid.
I mean,
I'm going to cut the mic if you guys don't stop talking about rent.
I don't want to be talking about Rent.
That's just how we fight capitalism.
Okay.
That's it.
I have comments, guys.
we're good on
All right.
rent.
Guys, I got comments.
All right.
Alright, so I'm gonna go back to the very beginning of the podcast live stream. In the beginning, Brooke Always the real one said, hell yeah, Dixie Chicks. We have someone
Brooke.
named Tuari. Do you know anybody know that person?
Tari,
Tari.
watching from New York City.
Tuari.
The
Said,
Big Apple.
Mary, I just want what you're wearing.
Thank you, actually, Gabe. This was from Gabe, and this is just a simple turtleneck. And
Vampire sleeves.
these are some Walgreens leggings, as well as some boots I got that reminded me of Stevie Nicks, which you know all about how I feel about Stevie Nicks. So, thank you.
All right, and then we've got, let's see. We have Claire says the sim of this live stream is the sim of a sim of a sim. I like where you're going with that. I'm not sure I get it, but Joey said everyone looks great.
Wow, that's surprisingly
That's really
positive.
big of you, Joey.
It's really big of you.
It's really big of Joey to admit that somebody
Someone
can
else
look
looks
great
good.
that isn't him. Yeah.
Okay, and then
He's fixing his programming.
guys, there's more comments.
Exactly.
We have Ray Bees who says, please create a sim of every person in this room by the end of the show. Okay, thanks. And I'll say I could do that if I had the CPU for it. But I don't. Brooke is a star from Mariana.
Mariana.
Joey says turtleneck because she was abducted, and now I wish I had kept the probed gift because I could have put it back up.
You have a turtleneck on, too.
Shit. Turtleneck crew.
Wow.
Ray sent me a link to a GIF, and I'm gonna click on it. So, but you guys can resume. That's all I got.
Thank you.
I would like to take a halftime report temperature of the room. I would like to hear everybody, quick take, how are you feeling right now about simulation? We'll start with Sam.
Nothing matters, and there's hope in that.
That's that existentialist shit.
Oh yeah, no, I get
Yes.
it all up its butthole with that. Like that's the only way I can
All
survive
right, quick
life.
take, and Matt.
Yes.
I find peace in the repetitive tasks of this simulation that I'm in. Doing dishes, tending to the garden,
All right.
brushing my hair.
The simple things. Jeffrey.
Not sold on simulation.
Wow, sad. And Georgia.
I think regardless, I'm very in the existentialist camp of like, you put meaning into the world, and it is up to you to be the best version of yourself and establish a meaning in your life.
Yeah, get all those skill levels up.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Logic, play chess by yourself. Charisma, talk in the mirror for a long time.
Yes.
Hit the triple speed button because you don't want to actually like
Mother load,
be a-
mother load, mother load.
Oh wow, if only.
If I'm right.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
All right. And lastly, we got Mary. How you feeling about it? Still the same?
Well, you know, I really feel with all these kind of different outlooks on life. I don't know what's so funny. That there's the realm of possibility is endless. Truly. I mean, I think it's everything and nothing. But I do believe that the matriarchal femme uprising programming that is currently, I feel like we're getting an updated drive on our existence. I think there's obviously some clear antagonists, but I think everyone should watch The Pyramid Code. Also.
Neo, thoughts?
I know Kung Fu.
Show me.
whoa.
I actually haven't seen The Matrix all the way through.
Because it's a mediocre movie.
Whoa!
Yeah, I
was forced to
Matt,
watch it, and
I
it did
can't
not
believe
go
it.
well.
would watch
I think
it in
it's a great
class.
movie.
I love it. I love it. It's
Do you know my?
I love it.
Neil, do you want to sit on the couch? I feel like
There's
if
a
everyone
big
wants to tell me the whole plot, I'd rather hear you guys do it than the movie.
All you need to know- All you need to know is they definitely want it to be based in Chicago because they just use Chicago street names, but the setting is not Chicago, and
Yeah.
that's the glitch in the Matrix.
Big fuck up there. All right, so we've got a few more comments.
Why am I sitting? Why am I in your chair?
Because you're a man. What else is new?
I didn't ask to be here.
Sounds like a MySpace boy.
We've got-
I didn't
ask to be bored, Mom.
Alright, we've got Ray asking, is the simulation theory the millennials' version of God trying to explain reason to the universe? Yeah.
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 Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally
Except
such
that
a
it's the
so
non-theistic
millennial.
way of
Except
doing
that
that.
Brooke is totally right and that it's not new. Millennials just love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
We
millennials
love weird
can't
computer
understand
shit.
the way the world is,
Yeah.
or except just like everyone else can.
And
We're
then
all
Jim.
hopeless.
Because video games are $1 billion industry now, so.
Okay.
Same with cat food.
And then Jim wants to know, but are the grapes real? And
You'll never know.
isn't that the fucking, are the grapes real or are they a simulation?
No one
I'll
tells
never
them.
tell.
Nobody
Can
tell
you-
them.
Can you even fucking tell?
We won't. A spy never tells.
And if you can't tell if these grapes are real or not, who's to say about us? Like, what's the difference?
Does it even matter?
Here's the thing. I've spent like 6 days in a row in bed at times, and I'm still like, in my life, like in that momentarily, like that like time period frame. Yeah, it was worse than it normally is, but as soon as I got out of bed, it was like just picked up where the game left off.
Mm. Yeah.
So, pro simulation.
Thank God. Can we take a show of hands?
Mm-hmm.
Pro simulation, hands up. Wow.
It's really lonely.
Even married?
like
Being-
10 years older?
You haven't really contributed a lot.
I
to
was
be
about to
honest.
say something, and Sam said something. I didn't want to step on her toes.
No, just say it.
No, I was
Then we'll do the show.
fine. I was gonna say I was feeling it, but our viewer at home, Brooke, articulated it in that people. The one argument against it is that there's not a computational power strong enough to do it. However, we couldn't even think in terms there. It would be technology that we can't even fathom. I don't think the creators of our universe of our simulation would give us the technology they used to create it.
Well, yeah, so like, that's a pro simulation argument.
Brooke has a question for us.
Hell yeah.
She says, if y'all could be the controller of a simulation, would you? And I mean a simulation like our world, not basic like The Sims.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would, because I would, yeah. I would for
What's the appeal? Oh, well, don't look at me. Tell the viewers at home.
What's the appeal? Complete control of
Oh.
everything.
How white of you.
I just,
That's what I was going for.
for me, the appeal would be when people are like, well, could you do better? I'd be like, yes, and I have, and they've been living
Exactly.
beautiful
yeah.
lives for the past
Okay.
27
Hell
years.
yeah.
Exactly.
I'm with that.
27 years.
Jeffrey?
Would I, if I could do a simulation that was like this? No, I don't. Probably not. No.
Wow.
Wow, sad.
I'm not sure. I don't know. Because I feel you. But also, I don't know. I just feel like it'd be so hard to create a
Right.
world that does not also include...
How much work is involved in it? Like,
It's an entire
So I don't
world
know.
like this.
but do you have to make it like piece by piece, or is it like
I mean,
Alice,
what's our idea of
you
what a
fucking log
simulation
in.
is? Like, I'm
Stack
assuming you have
Over-
to make it.
No, Stack Overflow has lots of code.
I
Like,
mean, all she said was, "Would you like
and paste.
preside over it? Should we make it, or would we just rule over it?"
Are
I
you all
think both.
familiar with the Rick and Morty episode where they have the video game called Roy, and he like puts on like the helmet and it like transports him into like being born as somebody
Yeah.
named Roy, and then he lives an entire life, and then dies, and then he like wakes up and comes out of the simulation.
Well,
And what's your point?
So that's kind of what I'm theoretically thinking of as like a possible like
Oh,
like
you
a simulation
think-
where you don't have to build anything; it's just existence.
It's
So you
works in
think
between
that
the two
you're so in well the simulation you're thinking of is like a person in the real world, quote unquote, plugging in and playing your life.
Right? Isn't that what she
But,
was
like-
asking? That it's a simulation of
But-
like the existence that we
This-
perceive right
She's
now.
saying, would you want to... Here, let me pull it
No,
up
like
again.
our world. I think she means like, would you want to be God?
Oh,
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you could be the controller of a
oh,
simulation.
where I can just like control like everything.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, I think what we're missing here, to be completely honest, is we're thinking a little too much about what we know about computers and computer programming and video games, and I feel like the real video game is going to be probably just your third eye. Like, what if that is the video game? What if the Nintendo is your pineal gland? And what if we just can't put our disc in the drive because we've got a lot of blockage and a lot of metals? And I wasn't going to say it, but you did.
You say I calcified my disk drive?
I'm not quite sure exactly what my words are, but you can watch it in playback. All I'm saying is I think we're underestimating the programming we already have.
We're pretty powerful. Whatever this is, it's pretty powerful and comprehensive, and there's a lot of people involved. Even just in my own
Or one
reality, I've got
person.
a lot of people.
Or the program, what if you're as much of the program as I am, as much as everyone watching at home is, as much as Gabe is, as much as Neo is, as much as Jeffrey, Georgia, Matt, Sam? What if we're all one? We're all one. And that's the program. The program is that we're all simultaneously interacting with each other. And anytime I feel bad, you actually feel bad. But we all show it in different ways because we all have different skill sets that were put into our avatar.
Okay, on that note, we have a viewer question from Ray. Do you think everyone's skills and features are just on random, or did the creator pick certain humans, quote unquote, to be more powerful than others?
I think it's random.
I think that begs another question, which is, in the simulation theory, do we think that there is a creator? Like, is it like Mary sitting behind her computer playing The Sims? Or is it like, say, a scientific simulation where they just set a series of like parameters and then press play and watch the whole thing play out for like research or entertainment or whatever the fuck? Like, I'm leaning towards that, so
Yeah.
I don't think that, like, I think that it's not so much random as it is like organic, like more like towards what you were saying, like that it's really maybe there's free will. I don't think that it's a simulation in which free will doesn't exist. So I'm sorry, Sam, but like the responsibility for your actions still exists.
I'm responsible as fuck for my actions. I just can't deal with other people's actions. People are mean, and it's just how they're programmed.
Fair enough. But yeah,
Adversaries.
Yeah, I think that The Sims as an example is a good way to like intro to it. But I think that like ultimately that as a frame is a lot harder to accept than like something bigger. You know what I mean? Like,
What's bigger than The Sims? In this
Honestly.
Sims
in general. In this example.
Well, I mean, like, so take these parameters. Like, in The Sims has a very limited scope. Like, you have 6 characters who you have the ability to create and like modify, and then the world is very small. Like, you have your plot of land that your house is on, and then if you go anywhere else, you get in a car, it disappears off the side and like reappears in the block where the building you're going to is. So it's like, it's limited in that way because we don't have necessarily maybe the technology or like
Sims
any
4,
of the stuff to like.
you can watch the car go wherever it drives. And you can speed it up if it's taking too long, like kind of like sleep mode.
Just like real life.
I've always
Wow.
agreed with
What if social media was brought in to our existence to collect data on us to do a scientific simulation, which we then create? So the simulation's a simulation of a simulation.
Perfectly explains alien abduction.
Right?
Oh.
Agree. Yeah.
What? I must have missed 3 steps in logic there somehow.
Jeffrey, keep up.
I'm falling behind somehow.
Keep up.
Well, you know what's funny about falling behind is all of your arguments involve TV shows. So like, that's great, because we're over here reading articles before we go live, and you just bring up X-Files, and that's why abduction isn't real, it's because X-Files. And that's a really, for the naysayer, that's a really one-dimensional argument.
How many dimensions are
Can you
there?
air horn her, please?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Or maybe the trumpet.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that.
Also fitting. Good. Well, I feel like the programming, right? Breaking our programming. You can't deny there's some kind of programming. Now, it may not be pixels we're talking about here, or expansion packs, but whatever it is, I will say one thing about this whole theory is, I have to say, Georgia, I'm really leaning on this side of, I think multidimensional kind of satisfies me more, just because I like the idea that everything that could ever happen is happening simultaneously with this flash in the pan right now.
I think
Moment.
that's the same theory, though. If you look at
that's
it
just-
the right way.
I think it's the whole God complex of the whole we're in a simulation aspect, whereas if it's just all a random moment all at once, that's, I think, the differentiating factor. No daddies.
Not to.
I think it's just like, maybe it's just like quality control for the other simulations, to have like every possible simulation
Are
running.
we in the shit quality control
I don't know.
Sims?
But just think how
We're the
worse
crash
it could be.
test simulation.
It could be worse.
It'd be so
Um,
much
Or
worse.
Sim City.
Dang,
Vampire
2000.
That one's
Not to go too off the rails, but I'm not super familiar with the multiverse theory, which may be why I'm like thinking that it's too similar to this or compatible in a way. What's the multiverse theory's explanation of the existence of multiple universes?
I'm trying to. I might need to re-look it up because it's been a while.
Does
But
anybody know?
What's the
It's
what's the
some-
question exactly?
it's like the
How
way
does-
the multiverse
How does the
theory
multiverse
works.
theory explain the existence of multiple universes?
Here,
why,
hold
why
on.
are there more than
It's
one?
with the quantum physics thing. It's sorry.
It's like
You know, the two
Relative-
particles are identical. It's the whole thing of how when you break an atom, and you know, like you break something down enough that it just becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And you know, one thing they think about, like for instance, phenomena is that slips. Like sometimes the universes rub up against each other like tectonic plates, and then maybe you'll see a little slip like the Berensteins. That's a slip maybe from another dimension. But essentially the theory of, some theory of quantum physics is that everything that can happen has happened. Like there's a universe where everything is exactly as it is
Why?
right now, except the walls are black.
Right.
Right? And then
I'm
there's
not
another
saying so
universe
much,
where it's just the idea that, like, you know, there's just
There's a lot of,
particles.
I mean, I understand what it is, but I don't know how they explain
I
the
think
how and the why.
it's
of it.
The
it's.
why-
Oh, sorry. Go
Well,
ahead.
why? Have you ever just been like sitting and being like, if I just change this one thing, everything will be fixed? Like we've all had moments like that.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
sliding doors.
Yeah, so like that's essentially what the multiverse, like that's the why.
That's
It's just
somewhere
all
in
these
the
different
universe.
things of just trying to find.
But like, how is there more than one universe? Is just what I'm asking.
So
I
about
think-
string theory.
Yeah, it's a lot of like the unexplained aspects of cosmology. So like some stuff has to do with black holes, some stuff has to do with like how quarks work and like very 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 small particles of matter, that kind of stuff, like weird shit happening in space. Like that's sort of where this concept comes from, and people posit that like these may be like entrances to other universes or like explain like certain aspects of this. There's a lot. It's a lot. So this
Sure.
it would be a whole thing, but like that's kind of where it's coming from.
And like the whole
Got it.
is, if I am not looking at it, is it happening?
Is that the same?
I don't think that's
Jesse
Yeah,
looks
that's
like he's confused.
That's a
All right. Well, I guess
that's another
basically
interesting thing.
what I'm saying about those, and again back to what I really like about the universe simulation, is that I think it's completely compatible with that. Where in this theory, the explanation of multiple universes just being like this insane number of similar like parallel simulations, just to like test shit out. Like, let's see what fucking happens when you start this stuff, and how many different ways can it go? Because it can go a simulation, let's say, where I start with like, okay, let's go back to God because it's the easiest creation story to remember. It's like start the creation like of whatever, like kickstart that bullshit. Like there's animals now. It's like after that, there's a billion ways, more ways, like infinite ways that could go and develop. And like if we had like thousands or millions of simulations running, it's like, is that not similar or the same thing? Like
They definitely fit
'Cause I think-
nicely. They
yeah,
layer
I think
on top
they're
of each
they're
other.
related. I think in that way they can be related,
Yeah.
but I think there's a component to the simulation concept that's very similar to like theistic
God.
explanations of the universe.
that's
and
basically
where
an
we are.
intelligent
Yeah.
design.
Whereas the
argument.
multiverse theory doesn't
Well, I think that,
necessarily suggest that at all.
innately, like like if we're talking about a simulation, like I guess intelligent design isn't like a bad word to use. For
No,
it.
I'm just
But it's just like, in what sense of that would be the question, and why is that necessarily like a bad thing?
It's just what you're into, frankly.
Whatever you're into.
Like
Well,
for me,
yeah.
it's too theistic. That's why I'm kind of not into the simulation theory. I'm just not as into.
Yeah, what
That.
speaks to your soul?
Yeah.
What is exist? That's it. That's it. Gabe, you're full blown 100% simulation. What is? I want to know around the room. Pop quiz, rapid fire. What is existence to you? I mean it. Like, what's your guttural thing? Like, we're talking about one version, but what do you really go to sleep with at night?
Accept it.
And no wishy-washiness. Okay?
Just accept it. I just accept that this is the reality.
But what is the
I
reality?
think not more of it because there's no time to. There's no.
There's too many other pressing matters.
I don't know what else to.
So when you believe in time,
I do. Yeah. I tried to like run from it, just escape from it for a while. It exists. It totally does.
but is there God? Essentially, why does this
Absolutely
exist?
not. He's not even close. There's no point at all. Absolutely no point. I don't feel.
Well, you might as well say communism at this moment.
That's C. That's C.
Because you're
Hello.
really bringing a lot of familiar energy to this corner of the room right now.
No. I will not say
I
that.
didn't expect this from Matt, but like you're right.
I mean,
It's
Sam,
Oh,
what is existence?
I mean, it's whatever. If I don't like it, I'm gonna change mine. Like, I might not change other people's, but I can change mine, and I do that on the reg.
Your inner world is what reflects your outer world.
Yeah.
Your soul, you have a spirit. Yeah. Okay. Jeffrey, go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Let's.
Um,
What is existence?
What is existence? Random particles arbitrarily bumping up against each other.
And that is incompatible with this theory because.
Well, for a lot of reasons.
Just name one.
Name one? I mean, the entire argument that I've been making is that there's no evidence for it whatsoever. And I feel
No, I
like
mean,
the burden-
why can't within the simulation existence be random particles? Like, how is that an incompatible statement of like, if that can be true? Like,
Oh,
both
so
can be true at the
my
same time?
statement about the meaning of existence also has to.
No, I just think both can
Debunk.
be true at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, but
I think it's just whatever you're into. Honestly, like, I think, yeah, feasibly you could have both, but like that's not my vibe.
I mean,
I just think
feasibly you could also just everything's controlled by magic.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Don't degrade people who are magic.
I mean, I believe in magic, so
Cole.
I'm
So,
into magic.
it's okay.
I'm with you. I am
Yeah.
so about like I think whatever is real for you is real for you, and I don't deny it. I think there's almost in a way where like the multiverse, multiple simulation theory. I think what your existence is as real as mine. If you were to tell me that you think we all came from like the moon cracking open like an egg, and for you that was a visceral belief, that is real for you, therefore that is real and exists. If you were to tell me, I don't know. But it's like there you got your Buddhists, you got your Satanists, you've got your Scientologists, and all these people. Their conviction of belief makes their Sims real. And my Sims, quite honestly, I feel like Mother Earth, it's like the biggest macro scale and the most micro scale. I think it's everything's everything, and I feel really connected to you guys and the viewers at home.
I think this is all just a way of coping with your own mortality,
Coping.
frankly.
Yeah. 100% coping. I've been upfront about that the entire time.
This is what you're
I
about.
just interrupt and yell coping at no particular point.
Well, I have been pushing you because I liked when you brought that up earlier on. So, maybe I'm programming you.
I mean, I'm already pretty programmed. I think I'm kind of programmed for chaos. I like to just see what happens because it doesn't matter. It's going to be okay, and we're going to live another day or think we live another day. Who cares?
Until you're wrong.
All right, guys, we're coming up. Well, we've already came up hard on the hour. So why don't we end this with like a fun yes of one or the other question? all right, we all know how we feel about simulations at this point, but say the Matrix was real, blue pill or red pill?
Oh, can someone really briefly?
Oh.
For the
Yeah.
viewers at
So
home,
blue
can someone
pill?
For the viewers at home that haven't
Blue
seen The
pill,
Matrix.
you forget everything. You just.
Oh
completely
no,
life.
I did see the first 30 minutes. Okay, right.
Red
okay.
pill is you see the strings that keep the system.
Yep. The goo.
Mary, do you want to go
The
first?
goo. You see the goo.
Sure. I think I already have taken the red pill. It's not easier. I feel like everybody thinks I chose to be this way, but really, let me be honest. Maybe I'm more with this Sims thing than I thought I was, because I don't really think I have a choice but to take the red pill every morning when I wake up, open my eyes, and I see the strings. Like, I can't unsee them. You know what I mean?
All right.
So, red pill.
Cool.
Wait, but are you red pilled or are you woke? Because they're two different things.
Wait, well, Neo, would you... Oh, wow, Neo. Sad.
You're saying in the current...
In internet parlance,
Inter-
red
Oh yeah,
pill
that's
is
not
used.
not great. Don't
Yeah,
like that.
well, we're
Great.
definitely not talking about that red
like
pill.
men's rights and...
No.
Right.
Oh yeah, no.
No.
Not that
Skate
red
right
pill.
Give it... thank you,
In the
Neo.
Matrix. In the Matrix.
So we're talking like legit the Matrix, where everyone's
Like, yeah,
all
you're-
goopy and gross and.
You are...
It's gross.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Legit the Matrix.
I think this is the uncool answer, but I think I would just take the blue pill. I just want to live my life.
Hey, no cool... This is not a cool room, you know. Honest.
Thanks. I thought
I
it
just
would
want to
look
live
pretty
my
cool.
life. Like I don't know.
I like it, yeah.
Put
All
meaning into
right.
my own life.
And then we've got Jeffrey.
I'd probably take the red pill,
Hmm.
but then I would I would take the red pill, but then I'd be like I'd immediately sell out all of the humans and Zion, and I would trade them in exchange for the robots, like letting me back in the Matrix, but giving me like superpowers, like where I can just like
Wow.
do anything. Yeah.
Majorly fucked up.
And that's our skeptic, everybody.
And Matt.
I would take the red pill and fight against the Smiths.
Oh,
'Cause
good
they're
point, good
terrible.
point.
In
Right.
the movie, they're
They're
like
the
the
spooky-
overlords.
The
who are-
robots that are
Kooky.
controlling everyone.
Yeah,
Such a good point.
Well,
Yeah.
kind of. He's
I'd
actually
take the red pill.
the rebel against the overlords.
Interesting.
Yeah, actually, in the following movies, he rebels against the overlords, and then they have to bring in Neo. 'Cause he's the
You know,
Nerd.
it's too bad this isn't a movie show. Because
Yeah.
you'd be great.
Nerd. Okay. And Sam.
I
Blue
would
pill.
take neither. I'd just stare at the person trying to give me them
Morpheus.
for like the
Yeah,
rest
Lawrence
of my
Fishburne,
life.
and you just stare at
Yeah, we
Lawrence.
just enter a stare off because, like, I know
Just go to sleep.
it's like like I just take a nap. Like, okay, I know, but I don't need to know anymore. But like, don't
See,
make.
yeah.
I don't. Why do I have to make the decision?
It's too stressful.
Yeah, I don't have time for that stuff. I'm just gonna take a nap to cope.
They
Falls
say
into that white
choices
empty
make you
room.
unhappy.
Like
But at the same time,
I
like,
mean,
I
that's
cried.
kind of
for
like
your
taking the blue
actions.
pill.
Last time, like, I had to buy a vacuum a few weeks ago, and I cried
No.
because there were too many choices.
Oh, yes. Whew.
Legit. Agree. Yeah.
That's real.
Feel it.
That's why this one's easier. It's just one or the other. Red or
Yeah.
No,
blue.
just stare off.
I
Well,
mean,
I do
Lawrence
respect
Fishburne probably
your
wouldn't stay that
reasoning.
long. He's got places to
Yeah.
be.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
why
moral
not? It's just the
moral
yeah.
obligations.
Well, then he made.
Well, that's why I liked the Matrix growing up, because it was like, wow, it ends, and he's like, yes, he like lifts off or whatever,
Good
and it's
point.
just
Wow,
very like,
spoilers.
it made me feel
you
a
saying
sense
that
of
you
duty
think you get
for
there?
society is what the Matrix.
That's
tried
if
to
I
do.
took the red pill.
Makes
That
me
is
feel
why
like
would
I
take
want to
this.
be a part and work against.
Yeah, I'd be the
Whatever.
opposite. I would take the red pill
Alright.
and immediately betray humanity.
I like that you said blue pill because you are actually the only unique
Yeah.
person. Oh, wait, Gabe.
wow, you didn't even let me go.
Oh.
It's okay though, because I said it like a million times already. You got a blue pill to shit on me.
Oh, you.
I mean,
Wait, would
Yeah.
you take the blue
So-
pill?
well,
Yeah,
yeah.
like blue pill.
Yeah, we're in the middle.
Blue to take blue? What's
Yeah.
your rationale?
Just in the middle of
Well,
the
because like,
conversation.
why the fuck would I want to take the red pill? Like,
I
It's
I
do.
working.
can't find I can't think of a compelling reason to do so. Because like, I don't think I'm a fucking Neo. I'm not about to like save the world. Like, I'm not about to even
But
be any
you
of his
could.
friends who die along the way.
Well, it's not-
Like, I wouldn't even.
So
laugh
Could
at
I
it
pick
long.
someone else who's more like able to take on that like moral and emotional weight? Because I'd want that to be done. I just
Yeah.
know myself, and I'm a mess.
I would die like, immediately. So what's the point of like dying immediately?
Because I
like,
I mean,
honorably?
support that
Or-
feeling.
Because
No,
it's just
you're
video
really good
game.
at video games. You'd probably get. You'd
It's
probably be
not
pretty.
a fucking video game.
It's to get in the
This
chair.
is
You get in the
real
chair and then you
world.
get
Basically,
The
programs.
real
It's
world.
great.
Yeah, but when they most of their fighting that they do against the machines takes place in the Matrix. So basically, like Keanu Reeves, all of his like kung fu stuff, all that's basically him just playing a video game, and you're really good at those. It doesn't matter how like small or big or strong you are in
Exactly.
the Matrix
IRL.
universe. It matters, you know.
And that's what's so
How
cool. You
open
can
your
load
mind
the
is.
floppy disk program into the computer, into
Alright,
your brain,
alright,
and you
alright.
learn all this stuff. So that's, I mean, it's
Let's
infinitely
cue
more
that
exciting
I
than
don't
blue
know
pill.
why when one person says they blue pill, they get like accepted, and why when I say I blue pill, I get judged. Can you play me out? I'm gonna go to the title screen.
I just have been
Bye.
wanting
Listen,
for a
there's no
while.
judgment if you are red pill, blue pill, whatever pills you need or take. You know, don't. I'm not actually going to talk about pills, but I love Gabe.
Get ready.
So take care, and we'll see you maybe tomorrow night. Oh, we have a Gmail. We have a Gmail. This is important.
Oh yes.
Please email us at Saturday, spelled out, night, spelled out, live, spelled out, show, SHOW, at gmail.com. Email us whatever you want. Saturday Night Live Show at gmail.com. Send pics.
No.
Don't send pics.
No dick pics.
Oh, no
Do not send
just
nudes.
no pictures of yourself. We don't really need that.